Dear listeners, like there's a quiet violence in disconnection. I mean, not the kind that announces itself, but the kind that settles in slowly until one day you realize that you have been living outside your own body for longer than you can remember, right? So you have been functioning, you performing, even somewhere along the way, the thread that connected you to yourself came undone. And maybe nobody told you that healing is not about fixing what's broken. Maybe nobody said to you that the way back is very simpler and harder than you think. That it starts not with doing more, but with feeling what's already there. So, hey, dear listeners, welcome back to another powerful episode of Mind Meets Machine. I'm your host, Avik, and this is a podcast where we slow down enough to ask the questions that matter and listen for the answers that land in the body, not just in mind. So I'm joined by a very lovely guest today. So please welcome Isa Lara Mary. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Amazing. Dear listeners, like before we get into the discussion, quickly love to introduce you to Isa. Isa's work has borne through her own journey of healing profound trauma and reconnecting with the self that trauma had taught her to leave behind. So I'll not take much of your time because there are a lot of things to discuss with her. Let's get started. Isa, there's this idea like floating around that if we are struggling emotionally or feeling disconnected, it means something is fundamentally wrong with us, that we are broken in some way. On that perspective, like you have walked through that terrain yourself. So what do you think? What would you say to someone who's living inside that story right now?
Okay. It's so common, isn't it? It's too common.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're feeling like something's wrong with you just
Yeah.
because you're having emotion or feeling challenged, that isn't true at all. We literally are consciousness incarnate in a body. And we're really here to feel, to be human, to have a human experience. And the way I see it is that we are the divine or consciousness, and it's big, right? The divine is this
Right.
beautiful vastness, and it holds everything. So our emotions, our thoughts, our body sensations, it's all welcome. It's all part of this bigger collection of the divine of consciousness. And what I had to learn very young was the path actually through awakening was through feeling and allowing my humanity and realizing that even though there was pain, a lot of pain in the past and grief, it wasn't my fault and it's not your fault if you're listening. That's why it's natural to have emotion. And that's just a sign that your heart is open, that you are vital, you are connected. And it's not a wrong thing with you. It's actually a right thing with you. It's like you're more expanded, you're connected, and you get to bring consciousness, right? Or the divine into that. So I would meditate and I would bring my emotion in and just feel whatever the feeling was and bring love, divine love to that and kindness. And then I would just feel and breathe into that and remind myself and you now that we're not that, but we need to feel that. It's part of us. And it doesn't mean anything is wrong. It means everything is right. We are connected. We are alive and we are open-hearted.
Yeah, exactly. So, thank you so much for sharing that. And like when you were in that place of disconnection, so what did it actually feel like day to day? I mean, daily. I mean, not the clinical version of it, but the lived experience of it.
Yeah. Day to day, it felt like I was somewhere else other than my body. Like I was floating at times or spacey or not really present, kind of just going with the motions of life, but not really here, not really connected. And I would get very indecisive. It was very hard for me to make decisions because I was so out of my body, dissociated, and I didn't have it felt like messy boundaries. At that time, I had very poor boundaries. I wasn't aware. And honestly, I generally felt lost, like at times, like I was running from something, but I didn't know what it was. And it was actually my own self, my own feelings and the memories that I was sort of running.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, I'm just processing. So, like, I mean, it's really striking that how often we internalize the disconnection as a personal failure when in reality it's a protective response. Like, how to say I mean, the system doing what it had to do, obviously, to survive, but yet we carry kind of so much of shame about it, and that expression I feel, I mean, that is obviously what I felt, so nothing wrong about it, but that is my feeling of what I felt. So but yeah, I mean, thank you so much for clarifying that. I had to I had to think about it when you just say, but yeah, it is just really helpful.
Yeah. Is it okay to respond to that?
Please.
Yeah, so you named something so important, Avik, which is that when it's happening, it's human nature to think that we're doing something wrong, that something's wrong with us. I felt it was
Mm,
my fault. I thought for
mm,
sure I was broken or something was wrong with me. I felt immense shame back then. But what I
correct.
learned, like you just named, is that it was a beautiful, brilliant coping mechanism that my system, we all have this, it just
Mm,
came online, and that is how it protected me from the overwhelming trauma and the experiences. And I wasn't ready at that time. I couldn't,
exactly.
it was so overwhelming and I was too young. And so I didn't have the resources or the safety or the skills to
Mm,
actually feel that level of trauma and emotions. And so if you or anyone listening, you meaning you, is having that, it's not your fault. Your system is doing what it needs to do to protect you and keep you from being overwhelmed and to keep you safe and keep you
mm,
sane, actually, to keep you coherent in your mind and safe.
mm,
And there becomes a time in our healing at some point where we get this awareness. Oh, I'm disconnected. We start to become
yeah,
aware of this. And the tendency will be to think it's our fault. And it is not. You can just say, thank you, system. Thank you, body, for
yeah.
taking care of me all these years. And now we can reconnect. Now we can start the journey of reconnecting.
Correct. Extremely true. So yeah, and I also really love the one which you just said is about the disconnection. You talk about people being kind of disconnected from themselves and they trying to function from that place. Right. So what I want to ask is like, what do you think that creates that disconnection in that first place? Like, is there a kind of deeper pattern or the conditions that pull us out of our bodies and away from our own authority? So something if you can share.
Yes, yes, absolutely. My sense is that there are many factors that
Mm,
create all of our disconnection.
yes. Amazing. Wow. That is really lovely, I have to say. So I also would love to ask, like, for someone who is listening who might be recognizing themselves in this conversation. So how does this disconnection actually show up in their everyday life? Yeah, true. Yeah. Okay. Amazing. And if you have to give one advice to the listeners today, what that will be? Amazing. And if listeners wants to connect with you, what will be the great medium to connect? Exactly. Yeah. And okay. And like, and it's really great connecting with you and knowing you, and it's for everyone who is listening, it's a kind of lessons and the feelings learned. So I have to say, dear listeners, like, what I'll do is I'll put all the links, details, everything into the show notes for easy reference so that you can easily reach out to Isa. And I have to say that, dear listeners, like, what you take from this conversation is definitely yours, not as something to do but as something to remember. like that you are not broken, that disconnection is not a failure, that the way back to yourself, however long the journey is, begins with this breath, this moment, and this willingness to feel what's here. And that's enough. That's always been enough. So I'll not say much words. I'll just say think about it, listen it, connect with Isa, and also do share us what you feel, what you're thinking about. It will really be great to know and share with people, right? So with this, I'd say this is your host, Avik, and this is Mind Meets Machine. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.